Hello and welcome to my review of the Nitecore TIP Winter Edition. This is a review sample that's supplied by Gearbest, but as ever, all my videos I do reviews, so I'll tell you what I think of the product and any advantages and potential areas for improvement are mentioned too. What I've done here is laid everything outside the tin so you can see what you get included, and we'll take a closer look at them in a minute. You get some additional rings, there's a dongle for charging, warranty card, gift card, as well as the instruction manual. Now looking at the back of the box, you'll see some basic specs here, 360 lumens and a maximum runtime of up to 46 hours. This is the Nitecore card that's included for the warranty, and you get a choice of two rings. One is much beefier than the other, one is a smaller ring, so you can use those if you want to use it as a keychain. Looking at the dongle, Nitecore have gone with a moulded plastic one instead of the more traditional micro USB cables, but I tried different cables that I have and didn't have any problems at all using them with the tip. Now looking through the instruction manual, we get an idea of some of the features here. We have 4 power levels, we also have a degree of water resistance too, and a toughened exterior case, and it's impact resistant as well. You might want to look at this section giving you the output and run times. Note that I'm reviewing the normal tip, not the CRI. The CRI is a warmer tint. I haven't reviewed that model. At the bottom you'll see some operating instructions and brightness adjustment, and you also have direct access to turbo and the ultra low or moonlight mode. This model also has temperature control, so it's not necessarily fixed at the turbo mode for a specific length of time. We also have power indicators, which are using a red LED in terms of flashes. I'll show you that in a minute. 3 flashes will tell you the battery is above 50, down to 2, and then 1 flash. So that's a useful indicator, and just some extras on how to charge the unit and precautions. Moving in closer, looking at the tip itself, you'll see the finish on this is exterior is aluminium. It's the Type 3 type, so it's scratch resistant, and we have 2 raised buttons with silicone covers on them. They stick up a fair amount, so you might want to use the lockout. On the side here we have the micro USB port, and on the back is just the maker's name. We have a fairly beefy looking ring on the rear end, so that seems to be quite strong. And the LED on this model, although it's small, you do have a recessed area so that it should protect the lens from any damage if you drop it. And I'll zoom in a bit closer so you can see the LED and reflector. This has an orange peel style reflector, so that should help disperse the light out more evenly. Looking at the micro USB port, there isn't a cover included with this, but it is recessed a bit into the case, but I didn't have any problems with standard micro USB cables. Operation on the tip is very straightforward. The bottom button turns it on, and you have the choice of 3 power levels by pressing the top button. It also has a memory as well, so whatever you set it to and turn it on again, it will come back to that setting. Now to access the highest level, the turbo, you push the top button and that goes directly to that. Or the moonlight mode or ultra low, just press the bottom button. Now this version has a lockout function as well. You'll see the LED just flashed there, and that will lock out the keys. This has been fixed from the earlier version, which would drain the battery and flash the red LEDs under the buttons, so they don't flash at all. I left this for about 3 or 4 days, didn't see any obvious drop in battery life at all. If you want to check the battery level when it's off, just press the top button and it will flash 1 to 3 times to let you know the approximate level of the cell inside. What I'm doing now is just running a charging test. When it's charging, you'll see the 2 red LEDs come up, and I've connected it to a special device which will measure how long it takes and how much current it takes. So the test came back and it took pretty much on spec with the battery, just under the 500 milliamps an hour, and it took just under 1 hour and 50 minutes to charge. When the battery is charged, you'll get the green LEDs come on, but you can also operate the torch whilst it's being charged, and that might be useful if you have a power bank or something. Okay, this is just a quick beam test inside, cycling up through the power levels, and you should be able to see the spread of the beams. It's quite a wide, even spread. And a test now on the moonlight mode at the lowest level. It's certainly good enough to see instructions or a map or something like that within a few feet's distance. For the outside test now, I'm cycling through the power levels. This is the same test that I perform with all the torches that I have. It just gives you an idea of the spread of the beam and how far it will illuminate. Once you kick up to the turbo mode, I can easily see right down to the bottom of the garden, and that is over 50 foot from my particular location. So quite a nice power output, particularly in the turbo mode, but the high level is also quite useful too. This is just another angle that I'm taking it at. I've got the lens at a wide angle here so you can see some of the coverage. And then I'll kick it up to the higher level here. Going down for closer up work, you might want to drop it down a bit. So you get a fairly wide beam with this. There's no obvious hot spots in the light pattern. This is the telephoto test that I do. It doesn't have the power of some of the other torches that I've looked at. But this is a much more compact unit, and I can easily see the bush in the background there. Up close, another beam test. And cycling through the power levels, you can see fairly widespread on this, and it's quite an even beam. That's partly down to the orange peel reflector. I've kicked it into the turbo now. For this test, it's just quite close, around 4 feet, and I'm going through the power levels here, so it's quite bright at close distance. You'll easily be able to illuminate objects in front of you. And this is me just wandering around. I'm in the high mode, not the turbo, and you get about an hour and a half's runtime off of that, and I find that plenty bright enough. Even if you were in complete darkness, if you're walking through a woods or something like that, you'd find that mode perfectly fine for seeing what you can do, possibly even a bit lower. When you're in darkness as well, you can also easily check the battery level. You see the red LEDs flash. For the water resistance test, I ran this for 10 minutes and saturated the unit with water, and this is rated to IP54, which means it has a degree of dust resistance and it's shower proof. It's not designed to be immersed, so even with the micro USB cover not being there, it didn't have any performance problems with the torch. It still worked perfectly. What I would say though is make sure that you shake it out. If it has been saturated and you're going to charge the unit, you don't really want the contacts being wet on that. Before I start with a summary and conclusion, Gearbest have supplied a code below. I'll put it in the description section, so if you are interested in the tip, this will give you a discount off of the purchase price. Now on to my own personal thoughts with the Nitecore tip. I'll start with the potential areas for improvement. I would have personally included a cover for the micro USB port. You could pick one up yourself, but it would have perhaps been easier to incorporate it into the body design just to really protect it from getting dirt and dust in that area. So if you do get dirt in there, wash it out and just shake the unit out. It seems to be fine as far as water resistance goes. I'd also possibly added a touch more grip onto the case, either on the side or the back. Onto the good points, it is mostly good. The light output is quite impressive for such a small torch, and you also have decent battery endurance. The body is very solid and it's rainproof, as well as a degree of dust resistance. The 3-stage battery level indicator is also quite useful, and the 4 power levels are also nicely spread out. The lockout function has also been fixed from the first version, so overall, despite some drawbacks, I think this is quite a nice little unit and certainly worth considering.